Well, here's the review for the Desire Z. It's called Z because, as you can see, it's got a little Z keyboard that pops out. You just put a little bit of pressure on, it pops out, and it's a regular QWERTY keyboard. So it's kind of similar to the Blackberries, but it pops out. It's it started off being pretty handy, and I'm going to go into why it became a little bit problematic later on. This, I'll open up the back here. This unit is pretty much brand new because they sent me a new one when mine started to go really bad. They sent me a new one. They didn't send me a new rear cover, but that's okay. Here's the battery. The battery lasts pretty nicely on these units. This is a little tricky. It's really kind of flimsy compared to the Samsungs, and not really a big fan of the way that they did this. But it does work. You don't want to be playing with it too much. I'm sure it would break. Here's where the SIM goes in. This particular unit was locked to Bell, which is a carrier in Canada here. I'll put this in, and it's pretty straightforward. Here we've got our rear speaker, and it's somewhat clear. It's in my estimation, it's not quite as powerful or as clear as the Samsungs of the same generation. The camera, and the camera is a 5 megapixel, and it takes okay shots, not amazing shots, but okay shots, and a quite bright flashlight. All right, so let's turn it on. I did a factory reset on this, so the reset basically allowed it to get all my data off there and everything else that might be hanging around. I wanted something that would be nice and clear for everyone to take a boo at. The startup is actually a bit slow, as you can tell. There's that HTC startup sound. On the front, you'll notice that it's got this little button, and it's a sense button, so it works similarly to how the old tracks used to work. And I can show you once I start up here. We'll make sure that everything's going. And of course, it says no SIM card, so it won't communicate. It'll communicate with the, if I had it set up, it would communicate with my wireless, but it isn't set up. Right off the bat, it asks you what language. It'll set English. It says insert SIM, skip. Press the back arrow to close the keyboard. It also has an onboard typing screen, and I'll take a look at that. See, it's got a onboard typing piece. It says touch the S, touch the I, M, SIM. So it shows you how to work it, and I could probably skip that. There we go. You can transfer things. You can access your Wi-Fi, your home Wi-Fi on here. You can say you don't have a data plan, and so you're only on Wi-Fi, which is a handy thing for a lot of folks that are using, kind of low data plans. You can automatically or manually sync data, and that sort of thing works with all sorts of data on the phone. I'm going to skip that because I'm not going to connect. Yeah, Google's location stuff. Most of this stuff, location consent. Might not be able to set the clock properly. It says 12:02 a.m. and it is definitely not. It won't set the clock because we don't have it connected to a network, so that's okay. Now as we start up, let's see right away, it's got motion backgrounds. So you see how it's kind of moving in the background there. It's kind of fun. You can get one with grass and all sorts of stuff. Now the thing about HTC is they align things quite differently from Apple or Samsung, in that you've got your phone operations down at the bottom here, and they're on screen, and you've got your home button in the corner here, which automatically brings you back to your home screen. Menu, which brings up a couple of things, including your settings. Settings operates similarly to other phones, personalized, so you can change your background, you can change your photo of yourself, and your lock screen. Wireless and networks, of course. Your call is a virtual call screen, yeah, you can go through all sorts of services. I'm not going to go through a lot of the settings because a lot of the settings are pretty much straight on the same as every other Android. I can show you, let's see, what version is this? Software info. So this is HTC Sense version 2.1, but it's Android version 2.33. So it's a little bit older than the modern phones, but it's got all the same options pretty much. So the phone settings is the main screen is pretty straightforward. Nothing terribly complex about it. What I've noticed about this phone, and I'm going to just say my bugaboo about this phone right off the bat, is that it pocket dials all the time for no reason. It pocket dials. It'll pocket dial not just people I've called before, but just random people. It bothers me a lot, and so it's one of the reasons why I had to get rid of it. The other reason I had to get rid of it, and I'll air all my grievances right now, is there's a ribbon that's in this side. Yeah, you can see the ribbon kind of right under there. You see it moving. And that ribbon stopped connecting properly. So the lights went out in my keyboard. So, and you don't really understand how frustrating it is to try to use a keyboard even in somewhat low light without a backlight, because it might look like they're quite bright buttons, but no, they're not. It's quite frustrating. It's a regular QWERTY keyboard, but the symbol functions are down at the bottom. We've got multiple shortcuts that you can use. Yeah, a search function right on the keyboard. It's an okay keyboard, but within a year and a half of me having the phone, the light died, the functionality stopped working, and I had to just use my onboard screen, which I'm not going to say it's the worst onboard screen, but if you look at the size of the unit, it's actually not that huge of a screen size. I'm just going to quickly I'll grab my Samsung, and so that'll give you a better idea of the size here. So here's my Samsung. This is the S2, and you can see the screen size is quite a bit smaller. It fits better in the hand, obviously, and it's about 3 times the weight of the Samsung because it's all metal. There's really no plastic on the thing at all. But I would say it's a deficiency because it's so heavy. I've never had a phone this heavy, and it feels like a brick in your pocket. I just really not happy with how heavy the phone was. When I originally was looking at them, I guess I thought that it would be palatable, but no, it was way too noisy, way too heavy, sorry. All right, so it's got a list. It's got an interesting little friend stream that you can attach your G+, or you can attach your Facebook to. A couple of other specific things. Asphalt 5, which uses the the little gyro inside quite well. It's got a Yahoo search, which seemed really bizarre since we're using a Google operating system. But there's Google. It must have been a Bell thing. Bell is the operating system, or the provider, sorry. Set current time. Quick settings, which is quite handy. Commonly on the Androids, the quick settings are set up through drop-down, and this is no difference. GPS on, mobile network on. Let's see if there's anything in the settings that is different. Language and keyboard. Okay. So here's one of those fun things about HTC. You see how it stopped working there for me for a little bit? That's because when the phone starts thinking about something, sometimes it just will not respond. And that's pretty much what happens once you start installing new software and upgrading some of your software, is that it really isn't terribly responsive. I'm going to come out and just say that this was probably my worst phone experience of all time. So if you're thinking about getting one of these particular units, the combination of Android, HTC, and this weird little Z setup definitely makes for a buggy phone. The ones, what did they call them, HDs? The HDs that didn't open were apparently quite a bit better, but I can't speak to that because I didn't own it. It's got a regular micro USB, so it's got a regular charging, same as a lot of devices nowadays. It's interesting that the headphone jack is on a corner, and if you see, it's rounded, which makes it sit in your pocket quite nicely, but it won't be flush when you put your headphone jack in. The power button's right up top, and it's handy, except for sometimes if you keep it down, it'll do a restart, and so sometimes that happens in my pocket. Yeah. I could go on about the OS stuff, but it's an older Android OS. There's not much more to say about it, really. You can personalize it. You can change the wallpaper skins. There's a couple of widgets that are kind of interesting, but nothing terribly alarming. The ringtones, it allows you to use MP3 ringtones, so any of your favorite tunes, of course. That's pretty much all I wanted to say about it. As you see, the little button in the front has a sense to it, so as I move it back and forth, it moves. So you can do that while you're browsing, say if you're in a browser, or in your Facebook, you could just go up and down, up and down. Of course, as you just saw, because it's so close to your haptic menu, your menu will pop up. So one of those kind of silly things that HTC put into their phones. I would give this phone a 4 out of 10. I just was not happy with it. Unfortunately, HTC probably wouldn't like my review too much, but if they want to send me one of the new HTCs, I'll do a review on those ones. Just because, gotta tell you the truth, not my favorite phone. And in fact, as of right now, my Samsung is happily doing its job. Well, thank you for checking in. If you'd like to see a review of something different, please let me know. Or if there's something specific about this phone you want answered, just give me a message in my doobly-doo down below, and I'll talk to you next time.